Hello, we are the Guardians, and our client was Nicole Hightower, who is a car salesman in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And she needed us to build a site for her because the site she had previously did not work the way she needed to work. She wanted a site to have clients and prospective clients to be able to see what she could offer them before they came into the store. A simple overview of the website shows you the design that we came up with. So when you first come on the site, you see a huge image bar, and this image bar scrolls to different images that can be replaced throughout the years of her having the site if she likes. Her logo is here in the top left corner, and this is also doubles as her home button. So if someone was on another page, such as her About Me page, they can click on the logo and go back to the home page. To go through the pages, on the top menu bar, you have your home page, which is also takes you back to the home page. The About Me page is a small description of what she does as a saleswoman. The Get Approved has two pages. One is the What to Bring, and it's just a list of things that customers should bring into the store once they are ready to buy a car. This will make the buying process a lot faster, which is one of the things she wanted to display on her site, so that when customers come in, they are not taking as long as to buy a car as they would if they didn't have these items or have to come back. Another major thing she needed to do was find a quicker way for customers to contact her, so we created a customer form for her. And in this form, customers can fill out their name, first and last name, email address, phone number, the type of vehicle they want, the range and the price that they want to stay in, and how they want her to contact her. Then they can leave her a message, and when they submit the button, that information goes to her. We will display an example of that later on in the video. The next page is the contact page. So when someone wants to come in and figure out where she's located or figure out her hours of operation or how to call her, they can come to this page, and it shows a map of where she is in the city of Milwaukee, her hours of operation of when she's at her job, and then the number they can contact her at, and the email they can contact her at. The last page she wanted to have was a FAQ page. So on this page, customers can come see questions that are frequently asked by the customers she sees daily, and they can get the answers right away. So they can click down and go through the different questions. This too can also be edited as she owns the site and as more questions pop up. Now we're going to take you through the back end of our website, and I'm going to pass it on to Austin.
Hey, this is Austin. I worked as a developer on the website, so I'm going to quickly walk you through the back end of WordPress. The main reason we use WordPress for this site is because we're handing it over to a client that doesn't necessarily have like an IT department or someone that's going to maintain the site. So working with WordPress is going to make it easy for her to go in and edit the site as we pass it on to her and as she needs to make changes in the future. So this is the main dashboard on WordPress. Let's see here. The first thing that's going to come up is if she needs to add different media to the site. There's a little icon on the left here. She can add different media as you saw earlier in the slider. Let's go back to the home page. This is where she would update the different images that come through, or if she wanted to add different images throughout the site, she can do it through that section. And the plugin we used for the image slider is called UR Image Slider. It's a free available plugin through WordPress. Fairly simple to use. It's inserted using a short code, and as you can see here, you're able to add the images one by one in a pretty intuitive way to make a slideshow. Really, anyone without much technical background is pretty easily able to make this function. With the free plugin, there are some things that you are not able to do or able to customize, but one of the reasons we chose this plugin is because it does have a lot more options than some of the previous ones that we had looked at. Another thing our client might want to do after we pass on the website is edit different pages throughout the website. So on the left side here, you click on the pages icon, and you can kind of run through and see the different pages that we have throughout the site. So for example, if she wanted to change contact information, say she got a different phone number, different email, the hours changed, or say she changed locations, she would come in here, click on the contact bar, and it would bring you to everything that is displayed on that contact page. And for the map, if she wanted to change that, we ended up writing a custom function to make that map display. It's actually a pretty easy process. All she would have to do is go in here and change the latitude and longitude to the new coordinates that she would be at for her new location. Another important section on the site we had was testimonials of people buying different cars from her that can kind of attest to the kind of saleswoman that she was, how easy she was to work with, the things that she can help them with. So we thought this would be an important component to add on the website because it kind of draws people in and makes them see that this is someone that they would want to work with going forward. If she were to get more testimonials that she would want to add in there, she would just go to the testimonial thing on the side here, and she would be able to add them through the Themify builder. With the theme that we chose, it actually has a very convenient and easy way to edit on the front side of the page. You just come down here, turn on the builder, and it will bring you to, let's see if that'll load for us here, maybe not. It'll bring you to a very easy way to edit the website on the front end rather than having to use the back end on WordPress. As Katrina mentioned earlier, another important part of our website that the client wanted was to have a contact form. The contact form will be used by customers that are trying to reach out to her in order to get information about a car or show that they're interested in a car and be able to initiate contact with her. On the front end, just to bring you back to it, this is what the customer form looks like. The individual using the site, the end user, will be able to come in and enter all their personal information here. And when they click submit, it will send it to our client's email address where she will be able to contact them farther from there. I will demonstrate a sample of how the contact form works using an email address of one of ours just for a sample. So we will enter sample information here. Okay. And that's the personal information section, and then at the bottom we have vehicle information, so they can choose the type of vehicle they want. They can choose car, truck, sedan, crossover, SUV, hybrid, or van. We'll just choose sedan. We also have a price range function on here, also another drop down. We'll just for this sample we'll do 10,000 to 15,000. Preferred method of contact for both. Interested in purchasing a car. Thank you. And when the user clicks submit, then that message will be sent to, like I said earlier, to the client's email. And you can see right here that the email came through, and now the client will have the information necessary in order to start making contact and hopefully move forward with a sale with that customer. Another feature that we were discussing about earlier was the FAQ section on the website. I'll bring you to it here. Here are the common questions that the client had listed that she gets a lot that she thought would be helpful to have on here, just so users can have a place to go where they don't have to actually contact someone at the business they can just go on the website and figure it out that way. The plugin we used was called Ultimate FAQs. It's another free plugin that we found on there. And let's get out of here. To add a new plugin, we would just go to, add a new FAQ, we would just go to add new FAQ, the title, which would be the question, and then the answer would go in here, and it would populate automatically a new question under the last one that we put in there. So it's pretty easy to edit in the future if new questions, new common questions were to come up that she would want answered directly on the website. Briefly, as I mentioned before, with the theme that we chose for this project, it did have a front-end editor that is called, I believe it's Themify Builder. So it has a little bit of back-end, but as I said earlier, it's a lot easier just to go on the front end and have it load. And they do have a couple back-end options, but it's a lot more intuitive to make it work on the front end of the site. A couple other things you can do as far as editing the site on the back end of WordPress. If you wanted to change the way the navigation lays out in the front or along the top here or even along the bottom. If you wanted to add different drop-down menus, we would go over here to Customize or go to Appearance and then drop down to Menus, and you can see the menu structure laid out here. The items in the menu structure come from the pages. As I talked about earlier, you can add new pages, take away pages, but say she were to add a new page that she wanted to go under About Me, she would add a new page, and then she would click it and it would add it to the menu, and she can put it in there that way. The menu structure is functioned by a drag and drop, so it's very easy to use. Doesn't require a whole lot of technical skills on the back end, and it's just something that's very easy to edit. Another thing that we had to do along the way was edit some of the CSS that came with the site. Not a whole lot. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of stuff that we could edit on the front end of the site where we didn't have to write too much custom CSS, but if for some reason in the future there was a need, you could go down to Appearance and then Editor, and it allows you to edit the CSS on the site for whatever reason. If you wanted to change background colors, or you wanted to change spacing, or just the way it lays out on the front end, there's an option to do that, and it'll override the parent theme that we have on there now. And I will show you the plugins that we have currently installed on the website. These are just the lists of the plugins that I was talking about earlier. So we have all these installed, and these are the ones that are active on our website currently. While with this project, our client is going to be the only one that will be editing the site and maintaining it, there's also a function on WordPress to add users. So if you had multiple people upkeeping the website, you can go to users, you can add a new user, give them their own credentials, so that way they can log in and everyone doesn't have to share one username and password. It just kind of increases security and makes it easier to edit as a team. But like I said, in this scenario for this project, it wasn't necessarily relevant. Okay, and I think that is all the plugins. So I kind of gave you just a little background on the back end of WordPress, and honestly it was more of a walkthrough on the documentation. Important note, we do have 3 different documents for documentation. Stuff that will allow the client to go through and be walked through step by step in order to be able to understand and maintain the site going forward. it will basically allow them to edit the site as I was talking about earlier, but they will have, like I said, a step-by-step process to take them through the different functions of WordPress in a way that someone with maybe without so much technical background can understand. Uh, Honestly, if you can use something like Facebook and edit stuff on that, you should be able to go through and edit with WordPress, especially with the documentation that we have supplied to our client. So right now we are attempting to bring up the documentation just to give a quick background on that. Here we go. So one of the pieces of documentation we had was a logo design documentation. One of the objectives in our project was to completely design and redesign color scheme and logo for the website. So this just kind of gives a background of what the process was going through that, and kind of what the thought process was as we were developing that logo. The form documentation here, as I noted earlier, the customer form was a form that allowed initial contact between a potentially interested customer and our client. So the fields had the first name, last name, email, and phone number. Basically just gave the initial contact and allowed the customer to reach out in a way that was easy for our client to respond in a timely fashion. And then here we have the complete documentation for the website. So as I walked you through the back end of WordPress, this is what we will be sending over to our client. So they have the ability to walk through and be able to edit the site as they see fit in the future. And with that, I will hand it back to Katrina.
Okay, so we went through most of the things that's on the site. One of the main things is when we do hand over the site back to our client, she actually implemented one of our team members to take over it, but we're going to do a lot of her hands-on training to understand why we did the site the way we did in person, so that way she can see it visually. One of the things we decided to do was when we began a project, instead of building it on our UWM portals and web spaces, we decided to actually build one on her web space. So that made it easier, so we wouldn't have to deal with the transfer of the entire site to a new web space. As when we began this project, we had a lot of issues trying to get her website on a proper server, which we were able to accomplish. So her site is completely operational and functional at this point, and she has access to go in and make changes if she wants. As Austin mentioned before, if she comes back into WordPress and goes down to the users, the first thing we're going to implement to, I would say, cross over or hand it over is completely delete everyone else's login and then make her the main administrator, and then anybody else that comes in, they'll become editors, but they won't have the same administration rights as she will. This will help with security to make sure no one else has access to the site once we're done with the project completely. As mentioned before, her hosting is now through HostGator, and it's on a solid server. We don't control the servers, it's a remote server, but she still has access to that information if she needs it. When it comes to implementation, we chose WordPress, one, because it's the best website builder for small companies or individuals looking to make a website fast. We didn't have to do any HTML, not that much CSS, and instead of building the website from scratch, all we had to do was customize codes and add plugins to make the site what she needed it to be for right now. And as we go through, I'll take you through a little bit of our final report just to show that a lot of stuff will still be ongoing. meaning that even though we're handing it over, the site will go through some changes and improve as she wants more things added. So we put in our final project report, I'll pull that up. And if we come down here to our roadmap, something such as the client communication will continue to be ongoing as she might place one of us in charge of her sites, and also the website content will be ongoing, meaning that it'll always update. She'll probably add in more forms, and when she does that, we'll find new ways to make the site the way she needs it to be. And then with our we have our release plan here just to show what everything we did that was implemented, things that released, things that were planned, and things that are still ongoing. So, for example, the host sites, the logo design, the color scheme, all of that is now released, which can still be changed in the future, but as of right now, it's not ongoing. Same thing with the plugins. So all of our plugins were planned and released, and those we can either add more plugins or take away plugins, but it's still not considered ongoing. So like we mentioned, as Austin mentioned earlier in the video, the FAQ art is something that will be continuously ongoing. As she gets more customers, she'll have more questions that she will want to add to her site, and we'll add those to that for her. Same thing with documentation of the system. As we add more things, she's going to need to know how to do those things, and we'll add and create content for that. And that is pretty much this site we built for our client. She has seen it and she likes it. It meets the standards that she requires. It was fun working on this project with all of us, and it's great that we can now pass on something that she can put into effect right away and gain more customers in the future. Thank you.